licensed clinical psychotherapist. I have degrees in psychology, theology, and marriage and family therapy, and a national certification in dialectical behavioral therapy. In this video, I'm not seeking to diagnose anyone. I'm only willing to offer insight into situations like these. Hello, everybody. Hey, I clicked remove. Remove. Sorry, started a couple minutes late. Still cleaning up. Spilled my water. Luckily not on the computer. Phew. Hope everybody else is having a good Sunday. All right. Hi to Adra Kapoy. Thank you for being here. Hi, Nina. Thank you for being here. Hi, Cutting Up with the Joneses. So salute to Maggie in chat. Hi, Adrian. Thank you for being here. Hi, Red Pill Sleeper Cell. Thank you for being in here. Hi, Nick Morrison. Thanks for being in here. All right. So if you watched last Sunday, you know what's happening today. But I gotta wait for people to get in here. Put a one in the chat if you were here last Sunday and you heard what's going on. Okay, I'm sending a message. Okay. Hi, Toya. Thanks for being here. Yep, she heard. Nick heard. Okay. Well, that's two people. We're going to give people time to get in. I know that I tend to immediately start, right when 2 o'clock hits, and then people come in. Dang, I was only 10 minutes late and you're halfway through your point. So, I need to make one of those countdown things. All right, Adra card. Hi, Leon. Thanks for being in here. Okay. Well, we've got interesting stuff going on today. So while people are coming in, there's a particular person that I wanted to participate in the game. And I would also like Toya to participate in the game. So we're going to do a game today. Yay. I'm going to figure out how to do it online. Okay. So Leon's one of the funniest people I know. Anyway, we are playing a game today. Okay. I'm going to need 4 volunteers to play the game. Now, when those 4 people come up, I want them to put their Cash App in the back chat. If you don't have a Cash App, you can't play. Okay. Now, it's not because you're going to be paying anything or playing anything. It's because whoever wins the game, I'm paying them $20. Okay. $20. Real easy. You know what I mean? Like it's a real easy way to make $20, right? All right. If we have to wait too long for Marcus, then no, he's coming. Okay. All right. So when Toya, Marcus, and then 2 random people come up with a Cash App, then I'll explain what's happening. Let me get the link. so that I'm ready to go. All right. I'm going to put the link in the comments. For sure has to be Toya. For sure has to be Marcus. By the way, they don't know what this game is, by the way. And since I do, I'm kind of being cheeky about it. And then 2 other people. You have to be able, like if you're at work, you can't do this. You have to be able to speak, and you have to have a Cash App. Okay. All right, there it is. We'll see who all gets to come up. $20, guys. $20. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Toya says not a clue. Yeah, see, she has no idea. But Toya's not scared. I mean, she knows me. She knows I'm not gonna do anything wild. All right, Toya's up in here. Yeah, Leon's at work. Hey, Adric, Nick, where are you guys at? Louis Conyer, where are you at? Cutting up with the Joneses? Maybe people are downloading Cash App. I'm not gonna, here's the thing, I'm not gonna embarrass anybody. I'm not gonna ask personal questions. It's just a game. There's no making people look bad. None of that. None of that. I don't know, Toya, you may just get the $20. Nobody wants to show up. You also, you can see what Toya's doing. She's using her thumbnail. You don't have to have the camera on. In fact, it's probably better if you don't. All right. Marcus is coming.
Hey, Maggie.
Yeah.
I like the hair growing out.
Oh, thank you.
I know what you feel, but it looks good.
Man. It's so frustrating, but
I know.
I appreciate you saying so. It's a lot to tame.
Yeah, the growing out phase can get a bit hairy, pun intended.
Good one. Good one, good one. All right, guys, there's 9 people in here. I should be able to get 2 more people. I know Leon would if he could. Everybody's hiding. Come on, guys. I need at least 3. Like, it's better if there's 4, but dang, if there's 3, then you get a 1 in 3 chance of winning $20 instead of 1 in 4, which is great. Are we already choosing teams, Leon? He says, keep it 100. You better hold it down, bro. We're already choosing teams. Dang. Listen, people in the chat, they can give you advice as you're playing too. It's totally fine. Right? Leon has a favorite. Pitiful. Pitiful. All right, guys. I figured if I offered a cash prize, I would get plenty of volunteers. It's just not happening. people actually leaving. Leon, he says, don't take it easy on these ladies. Man. Listen, and there's gonna be a point we're gonna learn something. We gotta wait on Marcus. But you know, Marcus has the longest intro on YouTube, so it might take him a little bit longer to get ready to come up. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for people, here's what I'm going to say. Last time, see if I still have my notes out or if I put it up. Nope. Already put them up. But last time we talked about transcendentalism a lot. So that one ended up going really long. I'm in almost 2 hours. And there was a lot of information, and I still wanted to play the game based on everything we had talked about. So to get you back up to speed, what was last week's even called? See, this is what ADHD does to you sometimes. Like after you've slept, you totally forget everything. Oh, existential crisis. Yes, society is a family. Thank you. So we talked about how if we use family dynamic theory and look at our society, so kind of go macro, that's what it means to go macro, is to take something that's small and look at it on a bigger scale, or zoom out and take a wider view. So what we talked about was we can look at our Western society as like a family dynamic, right? And this is where we get like the patriarchy, because the government, Western governments are very paternalistic, right? They don't believe that you know how to take care of yourself. And so you are policed and governed. And the example that I use all the time is the seatbelt law. Wearing a seatbelt in a car, an adult should have a choice. Now, I always wear mine, and I would, because I've looked at studies and stuff like that. So I get it. But making it a law that adults have to put on a seatbelt to stay safe is a paternalistic law. And a lot of our laws are paternalistic. And so we have these, the government, which I was referring to as daddy government, right, has to rule and govern and shape, because we're not, it views us as not being able to do that on our own. So when we look at family dynamic theory, we have the golden child, which is almost like the ego of the country, right? So if you think about parents who have that one child that's like super successful, and they've poured in a lot into this child and taken them, I mean, let's say they got into the Olympics, okay? And they paid for all the lessons, and they paid for the coaches, and all the time was put into this kid, and this kid is their golden child, and it represents the family, right? Like that's the golden child. So that's where you have like the upper levels of the caste system, right? That's the face that they want you to think of when you think of the country. And so it's sort of like, if you look at media, you can see that on news and things like that, the image of the country that the country wants you to think of is like this tall, broad-shouldered, white Christian man in a nice suit, right? Like that's like the face of the country. And then you have the black sheep, and the black sheep of the family is the one that it's always that kid's fault. Like no matter what happens in the family, it's that kid's fault. No matter what's going on with the parents, they will find a way to get mad at the black sheep, right? So they could have had a horrible day at work. fought with their coworker, got written up, then their battery was dead, and they'll come home and anything that the kid says or does, it'll piss them off. And so then they can take out their aggression on the black sheep. So again, when we go macro and apply family dynamics to the country, we see that the black sheep are more the bottom castes, right? Where this is all violence is their fault. All crime is their fault. All problems are their fault. Like anything that happens in the country is somehow the bottom caste's fault. Like they'll find any reason to say, what about Chicago? You know what I mean? It's like, so applying family dynamics theory, right, on the caste system that we have, because there's definitely a hierarchy like there is in a family. Leon says a whole bunch of single family home monetized individuals. Yes, yes, yes. And it's interesting because the country will take collective credit for things, and place collective blame for some things. Like the upper castes are about collective credit and not collective blame, right? Like if some member of these upper caste does something horrible, well, then it's they other that person, right? They have a mental illness, or they were Republican, or they were a Democrat, or they were they other them. Like they're not, that's not one of ours, right? But then when it comes to the lower you go on the caste system, pretty much mid and lower, one person does something wrong and it's everybody. It's everybody's fault. Even when they're like, that, not one of ours, right? It's no, we said, right? It's sort of like that rights and privileges, freedoms towards the top of the caste system, and then it's like laws and rules at the bottom of the caste system, right? Leon says, the image of America, look at my traditional upper middle class family with 2 immigrant nannies, one from Germany, one from Mexico. You need to be like us, so work hard. Yes, right? You've got the 2-parent home. You've got, the big nice house and the white picket fence and the golden retriever running around, and the 2.1 kids. I mean, I guess she's a little pregnant. You got the 2 kids, right? Susie and Billy running around in the yard, right? Like that's apple pie, baseball. That's the image that the country wants to project. But how many people are actually living that lifestyle? You know what I mean? Here's me and my husband and our 2 kids in our 4,000 square foot home, and I don't work because I'm home baking apple pies. Very few people have that, but that's the image, right? So that means it comes from the upper caste. You know what I mean? So that was a lot of what we talked about last week. All right, Marcus. We've had our update. We've summarized. And anybody else who's come in, we are going to play a game. You don't have to turn your camera on. I'm not going to ask personal questions. Nothing embarrassing is going to happen. You just have to have a Cash App, because if you win, I'm going to pay you. Oh, hey, Toya, can you put your Cash App in the back chat? I only remember Jersey Lioness, and I don't remember how it was like spelled and written. So I would like 4 people to play. We're going to have Toya. Marcus is going to be up 10 minutes ago. So 2 more people. Anybody who's in here, we can get 2 more people. Come on, it'll be entertaining. Don't be embarrassed. Okay. Toya has to reboot her StreamYard. Hi, Cynical Optimist. Hey, Cynical Optimist. Oh, yeah, you'd be great. Do you want to play a game? In case you didn't hear what I just said, so we're going to play a game. I need 4 people. I already have 2 volunteers. You don't have to turn your camera on. I'm not going to ask embarrassing questions. I'm not going to embarrass you. You have to have a Cash App because if you win the game, I'm going to pay you $20 for playing the game. So if you want to play the game, the link is in the chat. You'd be really good at that too. So come on up. Toya is rebooting. Marcus is on his way. That goes for anybody else. Listen, it's going to be such a boring live if you guys don't participate. Come on, Cynical Optimist, come up. It'll be fun. There's $20 burning a hole in my Cash App. I need at least 3 people. So I've got Toya. Marcus is on the way. At least 1 more. And if we can't, I mean, we'll have to put the game off again because I'm not just going to tell you about the game and then people don't volunteer and don't win money. So we end up having to put it off to a Wednesday. I know Leon would participate if it was a Wednesday. Maybe. Cynical Optimist is like, I'm not even going to answer you. Wow, what's everybody so hesitant about? Okay, Cynical Optimist says just a moment. Okay, good. Good. We need at least 3 people. Hey, there's Marcus. Hey, Marcus. Thank you for coming in. Okay, so as soon as we have Cynical Optimist in, then we'll have the directions. Okay. And you guys don't forget to put your Cash Apps in the back chat so that I have them.
All right. Well, mine's is keep it 100, just like it is right there.
Can you make me type it for you so that I have it in one place?
No, I'll type it.
Okay.
It's not a problem.
Thank you. Okay.
Hold on.
We are waiting on Cynical Optimist. Oh, I can hear my voice in your in yours, Marcus. Anyway,
Okay, so
we're waiting on Cynical Optimist. As soon as he comes up, we will. I'll give out the instructions and we'll start the game. Or if somebody else beats Cynical Optimist to it. All right, Cynical Optimist, hopefully you're listening because I'm going to get started. And as soon as you come in, I'm going to have you come up. Okay. I'm going to start with Toya. Okay. And I have to keep track of scores in front of me. So you'll see me randomly writing things down. Okay, Toya, I'm going to give you instructions. As soon as I'm done with the instructions, I want you to start.
Okay.
after I'm done with the instructions, you're not able to ask any questions.
Okay.
Okay. So, and Marcus, you don't have to have your camera on if you don't want. We don't have to see you, but just hear you is fine. Okay. The instructions are, I want you to count to 15 3 times in a row and then name 3 things that you love. Count to 15 3 times in a row and name 3 things that you hate. Count to 15 3 times in a row and name 3 things you're great at, and then start over again. Please go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Marcus, it says you're not connected. Keep going, Toya.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I love the summer. I love to talk. And I love astrology. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay. Now, cynical optimist, thank you for being here. Keep going, Toya.
1, 2, 3.
I'm going to
4,
read you
5,
instructions.
6,
As soon as I'm
7,
done reading the instructions,
12.
you need to start, and you won't be allowed to ask any questions after you start. Okay, so the instructions are, I want you to count to 15 3 times in a row, and then name 3 things that you love. Then count to 15 3 times in a row and name 3 things that you hate. Count to 15 3 times in a row and name 3 things you're good at. And then repeat it over again. Go.
I hate echoes. I hate,
You guys, you're going to have to be careful.
I hate clutter and I hate naysayers. 1,
Okay,
2,
Nicole, you're going to have to turn on your mic so I can hear you.
7, 8, 9, 10,
Actually, I'm going to turn
11,
down my
12,
volume a little
13,
bit and
14,
see if that
15.
helps.
1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 5,
Marcus,
6,
your
7, 8,
instruction.
9, 10, 11.
You're to count to
12,
15
13,
3 times in
14,
a row
15.
and then name 3 things that you love.
I'm good at
Count to
speaking.
15
public
3 times
speaking.
in a row and name 3 things that you
I'm
hate.
good at learning quick on my feet.
Count to 15 3 times
And
in a
I'm good
row
at
and
making
name 3
people feel
things
good.
that you're good at. I can't hear Marcus. Everybody's muted now.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. For some reason, I have no sound coming through these headphones.
Oh.
So, yeah, so I got to kind of like play sound through the computer, but I'll play it low.
Okay. I turned my volume on too.
I don't know what's going on here with that. Again, it's probably an interface problem. Hold on 1 second. Let me.
Cynical, did you get started? He's
I'm
here.
only unmuted because I stopped.
Okay, keep going.
So,
Well, I did all 3.
Can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
You may have to talk quietly, Toya, but I trust you. You can. I know you'll do it.
8, 9,
So
10,
let me
11,
try this
12,
again. Put the
13,
sound
14,
through these
15.
headphones so they're not
I
playing
love
through my
apple
speakers.
juice. I love family. And I love whiskey.
Unfortunately for the sound, Toya's
1,
making all the
2,
points.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
So
10,
what do you need me to
12,
do?
13, 14,
Okay,
15.
count to 15 3 times in a row and name 3 things that you
8,
love.
9,
Count
10,
to 15 3 times in a row and name 3 things that you hate.
1,
Count to 15
2,
3 times in a
4,
row
5,
and name
6,
3 things that
7,
you're great
8,
at, and then repeat it over again.
12, 13,
The whole
14,
thing?
15.
The
I hate
counting and the
mean
3 things?
people. I hate people who don't make space for others. And I hate liars.
Okay,
One,
I'm gonna
two,
feel real
three,
silly.
4, 5, 6, 7,
1,
8,
2, 3,
9,
4,
No,
5,
ten,
now
6,
you got to
7,
11,
8,
keep
9,
12,
10,
asking
11, 12,
13,
13,
questions.
14,
14,
15.
15.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
1,
9, 10, 11,
Adrian
2,
12,
says
13,
3,
bougie
14,
4,
ass
15.
tonight for
5, 6,
1,
Marcus.
2, 3, 4,
7,
5, 6, 7,
8,
8, 9, 10, 11,
9,
12, 13,
10,
14,
Hey,
11,
15.
12,
Marcus, you're
13,
going too
14,
fast.
15,
You're not going
15.
to score any points if you
1,
rush
2,
through it.
3,
I
4,
gotta I
5,
gotta count
6,
slow.
7,
You got to
8,
count
9,
normal.
10,
Don't,
11,
don't do it too
12,
fast.
13, 14,
Okay.
15.
You gotta tell me the
I'm
rules.
great at following
1,
instructions.
2, 3,
I'm great
4,
at
5,
driving,
6,
and I'm
7,
great
Since
at
I'm
8,
trying to listen
9,
to two people at the same
10,
time, Adrian,
11,
will
12,
you
13,
try to keep
14,
track of Cynical
15,
Optimist?
7,
His
8,
mic is not
9,
on, and
10,
5,
11,
6,
maybe
12,
help me.
13,
Can you hear me
14,
now?
9, 10,
Oh,
1,
yeah, we
2,
can.
12,
Okay,
3,
Did you
gotcha.
get the
4,
13,
5,
instructions,
14,
6,
Cynical?
50.
7, 8,
Yes.
9,
1,
Okay.
10,
2,
11,
3,
12,
4,
13,
5,
14,
6,
Yeah,
15.
7, 8,
1,
9,
1,
2,
10,
2,
3,
11,
4,
terrible.
12,
3, 4,
Okay.
13,
You
5,
guys can
14,
still catch up
6,
with
15.
7,
Toya.
8,
10,
9,
11,
10,
12,
11,
13,
12,
14,
This
15.
13,
is a
14,
race? Oh,
15.
I'm gonna lose.
I love
Family,
thinking. I
food,
Okay.
love learning.
friends.
I
Marcus,
love reading.
I'm going to
1,
mute
Oh,
2,
you
3,
for a
1,
4,
freedom.
second.
5,
2,
6,
3,
7,
4,
8,
5, 6,
9,
7,
10,
8,
11,
9,
12,
10,
13,
11,
14,
12,
15.
13, 14, 15.
I hate
1,
vegetables,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
ignorance, and
9, 10,
politics.
11, 12,
1,
13,
2,
14,
3,
15.
4, 5,
1,
6,
2,
7,
3,
8,
4,
9,
5,
10,
6,
11,
7,
12,
8, 9,
13,
10,
14,
11,
15.
12, 13, 14, 15.
I'm good at
I hate
math,
the smell
good
of
at
when
conversation,
you put out
and
a candle and you don't put a top on it. I hate that smell. I hate the smell of
Cynical, you're doing good.
I hate
If you could
missing
just pick up
things
the
that I
pace a
really
little bit.
wanted to get.
gotcha.
1, 2, 3,
1,
4,
2,
5,
3,
6,
4,
7,
5,
8,
6,
9,
7,
10,
8,
11,
9,
12,
10,
13,
11,
14,
12,
15.
13, 14,
Toya, you doing
15.
okay? You've been doing this for a long time.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Look
13,
at
14,
Toya.
15.
She's a trooper.
1, 2,
Even
3,
asking her
4,
questions and
5,
she
6, 7, 8,
keeps
9,
it
10,
moving.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I
All
am
right, I'm going to let
great at
Noisy back in.
talking to
Marcus,
people.
can you do it
I'm
now?
great at reading, and I'm
What
great
part?
at
I said the
communicating.
3 things that I love, 3 things that I hate,
1, 2,
3
3,
things that I'm
4,
good at.
5, 6, 7, 8,
Photography, art,
9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Start over
14,
again.
15.
debating.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Photography,
6,
art, and
7,
debating. 1,
8,
2, 3,
9,
4,
10,
5,
11,
6,
12,
7,
13,
8,
14,
9,
15.
10, 11,
8,
12,
1,
9,
13,
10,
2,
14,
11,
3,
15.
12,
4,
1,
13,
2,
14,
3,
15.
4, 5,
Okay,
6,
Toya, you
7,
can stop.
8, 9, 10, 11,
I
12,
was
13,
thin.
14, 15. I think I said freedom,
Cynical, you
travel,
can stop.
and ah, I forget my third love. I forgot it. 3 things that I love. Can I keep going? I have to name the
All
last
right,
one.
Marcus, you can stop.
Okay.
Okay. So, in the chat, did you guys think one?
That's obvious.
Who won? Who do you think, Marcus?
I think Toya won.
Why?
I mean, it would seem to me that she ran through the whole thing straight away.
Cynical, make sure you put your Cash App in the back chat. Okay. Why would we think that Cynical didn't win?
I don't know. I don't know if he had was his mic on?
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah. Had to get set up.
Yeah.
Why do you think you didn't win, Marcus?
My situation over here is not agreeing with me.
And asking a lot of questions, redirection, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, Adrian's in the chat telling Cynical Optimist, giving him the hints. I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you see that, Cynical?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So, what do you guys think the point of the game? What was the point of the game?
How well you can stay focused through static.
Okay. Focus.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Focus is definitely what is wanted in this. So what this was is Marcus, I'm gonna mute you like for real this time, so it's not echoey. Okay. Yep, that's better. Okay. This game was to represent Western society. Okay. So each one of you had a role that portrayed a position in the caste system. So does anybody know? I'm unmuting you, Marcus. Does anybody know who they were portraying?
I was definitely the working class.
Toya thinks she was the working class. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Marcus, what do you think?
Did you ask us different questions or you ask us all the same thing?
I asked you all the same thing.
So basically our responses represented different classes?
No, I knew who you were from the get-go. I am the elites in this game.
She's the arbiter.
No, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. So, Toya, you were the top class.
Really?
Yeah. I
get
never
it.
said a negative thing to you. Never said you were doing stuff wrong. I kept asking if you were okay. And I kept giving you praise.
Oh.
Right. So that I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What?
No, I just said, oh.
Yeah. So I knew from the beginning that it needed to look like Toya was going to win. And one of the ways to do that was to give her a lot of praise in front of everybody else. So everybody's like, oh, she's making all the points. She's doing the best, that kind of thing. Cynical Optimist was actually the working class.
Oh.
Which is why I asked Adrian to help me supervise. And so then he's in there, you need to count slower. Okay, now you need to pick up the pace. Right? It's like supervisors at work and everybody, constantly coming at the working class. And then Marcus was the bottom caste.
Because you told me to slow down.
Well, I told you to slow down. I told you to speed up. I was like dismissive, cheeky. I think at one point I said, you people.
I missed all that. Only thing I remember is me counting fast and you telling me to slow down. I don't remember any of the other stuff.
And then I muted you, right?
Did you? You might have.
In the middle of the game, I muted you. Which is like when people they got to be homeless for a while, or they go to jail, or they go to prison, or that. And then after I let you off of mute, then it was like I'm just on to other things, very dismissive, and then the game's over. Now who won? So, Marcus was representative of the bottom caste, right? So I got to make sure that Cynical put he did. Okay. That was the point of it. And the thing is that in this society where it's a caste system, it's a resource laden, capitalist, colonialist type thing, and resources go up. I'm asking you to count all this time, to keep track of the counting, which is doing the work. It's like going to work, doing the stuff you got to do. And then all of a sudden think about 3 things that you love. because you have just this very little bit of time to think about things that you love. And then count to 15 and figure out the things that you hate and where your boundaries need to be and how, what's important to you, what your value system is. Now go back to counting. And now what are you great at? Right? So it was that represents we have to do all these menial tasks and work in the system, in the game, before we have a moment to think about ourselves. So all that being said, cynical, I hope you're still in here, even though you dropped down. Oh, no, he's back. Okay. We talked about transcendentalism, right? And a lot of what transcendentalism said was that when you have huge collectives of people, big collectives of people, they are inherently sick because poor thinking, villainous thinking, evil things, all that infests that. So most importantly, society. This is what the transcendentalist said, was that when you try to get this huge society, it will get infected. And J. Krishnamurti said, it's no measure of wealth, or I'm sorry, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. So what the transcendentalists were more about was every single individual person needs as much freedom as possible to reach their potential, right? Instead of being used and exploited for others. So in that vein, I'm going to respond to this game by not saying that there's a winner. Okay. So let's put it this way. I have $100. Okay. If I say that, and I'm representing the elite, if I say that there's a winner and I say it's Toya because I decided that from the beginning, then I have $80. Toya has 20 and everybody else is annoyed. Right. However, transcendentalism would say I have $100. So if I give each of you $20 and I keep $20, then we all have the freedom to reach our potential. So that's why I wanted everybody's cash out, because I'm paying everybody $20.
Thank you.
Sounds a bit egalitarian.
Yeah, well, I mean, transcendentalism says, if I'm to be as free as I can possibly be to meet my potential, then I have a social contract to ensure that everybody else is as well. Transcendentalism was being developed as a philosophy slightly before the time of abolitionists really taking hold. Now, transcendentalists said abolitionists were pussies, but they weren't taking it far enough, because transcendentalists said that, slavery is actually the complete opposite of transcendentalism. So it came to popularity around that time, and there was a big movement of transcendentalists who were like, the only way that I can be free is if everybody is free. Ralph Waldo Emerson was a huge fan of John Brown, so while he was anti-violence, he was fine with it if somebody else did it, because people who were holding enslaved people were, antithetical to that. So it's like even beyond being egalitarian, right? Like, I'm not giving each of you $20 so that we can all be fair and equal. It's more like, if we each have $20, then we can do something with it, whatever we choose to do, because it's about what I choose to do to move forward in my life. You could buy a 10-pound bag of M&Ms, whatever you want to do with it.
I was being facetious.
I get it. All right. So thank you guys for participating. I've got Toya's Cash App. I've got Cynical Optimist Cash App. I appreciate you guys so much. And you can drop down if you would like to. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks,
Of
Maggie.
course. Leon says, Trust is now out here whipping people to make them work harder. I was going to make it go on for a while and put Toya in charge of the worker class. I was going to put Toya in charge of Cynical know what you're trying to say, Leon. I just got it. Okay, so in the caste system, our caste system requires participation. Okay, and it requires participation by the masses. Here, I'm gonna share my screen here. This is something I've been working on, and it's not completely finalized, but you guys will know if I put this up and immediately all of YouTube shuts down or all my electricity goes out or whatever, then it was right. Or if the whole video gets removed, right? Let me, okay. So this is what I've been working on and some studying that I'm doing with another person. So sometimes you guys will hear me talk about how white people know the differences between other white people. So the caste system doesn't necessarily look like a triangle because there's population, right? So for population, it looks like two cones, right? Because the majority of people get towards the middle, okay? So at the top, you have what people generally refer to as the elites. They are called the polity. Someday maybe, well, I'll probably have to have a Patreon show about the polity and who that is. Though those are specific families. So then under those families, the lesser families, if we go with like nationalities and race, which is hard for this upper caste system, because it's not connected to the caste system that we know. The Romans, there's specific Angles and Saxons that are Germanic, and then specific Jews. We'll leave that. Hopefully you guys know what I mean by that. I'm trying to be real particular about how I shared that. I literally changed it on here so that I could say that. And then what happens between the higher caste system and the lower caste system are the division games, right? All of these things don't really apply in the upper caste. Race and, don't mix races, anti-miscegenation kind of stuff, religious dictates, capitalism, which is another name for colonialism, access to medicine and healthcare, the way education is done, the gender wars, whatever they can do to other, because if you're focused on your caste system and not theirs, then they can continue to operate the way they operate. Because this top part is about specific family lines, right? This is where the phrase blue blood comes from. So these are specific family lines that are on the top part. So in the bottom, the top part of the bottom caste, okay, which is generally what we live on a day-to-day basis. You have the general Euros, which are not connected in any way to that top caste system through family lines. This is like the Welsh, Irish, Scottish, Italian, German. These are people who weren't white until they became white, right? These are not the Angles, okay? Then under them, you sort of have this other Euro kind of category of people who are not ridiculously pale. The Arabic, Turkish, Lithuania, Russia, although they're pretty pale, but because we always have something going on with them, they're sort of put into the other category. Under them are people who are Asian or Asiatic, and they are all viewed as a monolith, right? What is it? People, they're like categorized model minority or something like that. So you know they're right up under the Euros. Then we have the Caucasian Hispanics, right? So now we've hit the middle of the bottom caste, okay? So we have Caucasian Hispanics, then we have African descended or melanated immigrants, which would include Afro-Latin people. So, and then at the bottom of the caste system, we have, for those of you who don't know what ADOS is, it's American Descendants of Slavery, also referred to as Foundational Black Americans. So these would be not people who have immigrated in, even though they may have lineage of slavery somewhere else. We're talking about this caste system. And Aboriginals. And I was very specific to say Aboriginals and not Native Americans because there was a period of time where you could pay $5 to be put on the rolls to be labeled Native American. And then also sometimes people have some Native American DNA, I guess I would say. But they're able to operate in the world up in that Euro area and raised in that Euro area. So that's a specific reason why I said Aboriginals. Aboriginals were moderately to heavily melanated. So that would be the Aboriginals. But that also includes the Inuit, who are Alaskan natives who aren't really melanated. But the interesting thing is if they came down to the lower 48, most people would assume that they're Asian or Asiatic. So, oh, there's a lot of echo. Okay. Now let me catch up on these comments. Dang. Joya says, because I had to keep going, even though my mom was asking me questions and stopped to look at me like, don't you hear me talking to you? Right. Adrian says there's an echo. Okay, Marcus is muted now. Cynical says, thanks for having me up, Maggie. Appreciate sharing a panel with you all for a moment. Yeah, that was nice. I mean, I know we weren't really talking about a whole lot. Oh, colored white people. Leon says, yeah, like they get a little darker. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, the lower caste system there has to be like some visual indicators, because when they utilize the othering, you know, one of the first ways that we can other is by what we can see immediate, because that's immediate, right? Because when I see somebody and I've been ingrained with this caste system, then I automatically categorize the person, right? But even when you get into the, you know, the upper Euros, you know, around the, even into the like Asian, we don't, that's why there's a long list there, right? Like we know they're somewhere in there, but we'll immediately like, where are you from? Because our brains categorize, that's what they're intended to do. That's why othering works, right? And we are tribal people, right? Instinctually, we want to be communal because there's protection and it's family and closeness and togetherness and all those things that we need as human beings. But in doing so, we are susceptible to othering. That's why it works, right? Okay, Adrian says, right. And the darker folks that are from the Middle East, Slavic countries are constantly mired in war. Meanwhile, FBA ADOS have the thumb put on them and can't even seem to get started in the game, right? Like, I don't even know that Marcus made it actually completely all the way through one whole time without asking a question or being muted or me having a comment, right? So, one of the things Adrian says is, what's the value of being left alone? Which, again, that's transcendentalism, right? Like, you take your part, I take my part. We can meet for coffee sometime. You go do you. I'm going to go do me. As long as we're not hurting other people, make it work. There has to, in the social contract, there has to be a basis of non-judgment, right? If you decide for your life, you want to sit in a lawn chair, in a yard or a field somewhere and watch the dandelions and eat trail mix, then fantastic. Then I got to make sure in my social contract to you that you're as free as possible to do that. Because if you're not free, I'm not free, right? So, I'm sorry, not just the value, the dollar value. Yeah. What is the dollar value of just being left alone, right? Okay. Since the caste system requires participation, right? So you're always going to have the participation of the upper caste, right? Because this is their world and we're living in it. You know what I mean? And resources flow up, right? Everything flows up and then it's gate kept, right? Resources, money, commodifying everything is all decided up there. Okay. But the majority of people are in the middle bottom part, right? Where it's poofed up. A majority of the people are around here. And these people have the tendency to think that this is the only caste system because they don't know about the top one. I'm sorry, there we go. They think this is the only caste system, this bottom one, and see themselves at the top, right? That's why they're so susceptible to, master race and, whatever people say, because they do think that they're at the top. You don't see that you're at the top of the bottom, right? Adrian's gonna have to help me with this one too. There was a president or a president's aide. Why do I want to say Lyndon Johnson? I'm not sure. Who said something about, if you can convince the dumbest or the lowliest, whatever, white man that he's better than the black man, like he'll thank you for it and you can pick his pockets while he's thanking you for it. That's that top level of the bottom caste system, right? Like if I can just think that I'm better than everybody below me in this made up caste system, then at least I'm not them, right? Again, don't see that you're just at the top of the bottom. Okay. Trust says transcendentalism goes beyond the material world and rationality. Individualism breeds contempt, not community. Absolutely, right? But it's like we've been trained to use our individualism to others. We are this way and they are that way, right? Like just because I don't agree with how you're living your life, but I would not live my life that way. Now I have to attack you. That's what individualism says. It says your opinion is important, right? Whereas transcendentalism is like, if you're not hurting anybody, I don't give a shit what you do. I don't care what you do. Right? Again, as long as you're not hurting anybody. But that's part of that social contract too. The idea of self-defense under transcendentalism is pretty interesting. Under transcendent, and I'm not trying to convince anybody to change your personal philosophies. It was Lyndon B. Johnson. Thank you, Adrian. I just want to explain other points of view that have kind of been hidden from history. I mean, did any of you know about the transcendentalist movement at the time of abolition? Like I didn't even know how the transcendental movement started. I know that nowadays when they talk about transcendentalism, they're talking about like woo-woo spirituality type stuff, which I'm not totally against. There is a spiritual component to transcendentalism, but transcendentalism was actually started by authors, Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. And everything they wrote about was to sort of encapsulate what the philosophy of transcendentalism is that because societies are like this, because groups of people do these things, and because life can sometimes be inherently hard, most of the time because of what other people do to us, the earth gives us everything we need. We have to go beyond. We have to transcend, that station, right? Cynical Optimist says, same with us who have Black Seminole Yamasee ancestry. We're not seen as Aboriginal or Native because of paper genocide, and we're not fair in our appearance. Yeah, you don't look like what somebody says a Native American is, right? And a lot of what we envision as Native American are like, they look Central American. You know what I mean? They look like what Maya or Aztec type natives would look like. That's generally, that's what's in our school books and things like that. But I was sharing with somebody the other day that in the National British Library, there is a room, it's locked. You have to have an appointment and approval to go in, and you have to wear gloves. But what's in there is all the information that was coming back from the North American continent. So from the time they sort of landed, all of the info that was being sent back to the Crown. So people were, and they're trying to send as much information as possible, right? So they're writing letters and like explaining everything that they see. They're drawing pictures, they're, whatever they can come up with. And there is, based on that, there is a drawing of a Native American, Merikan, because now, sorry guys, I'm going to be off because now there's like 3 things I want to say, but it's a woman. And, she's got feathers in her hair, and she's dressed very much like what we believe Native Americans dress like. But she is quite obviously of African descent. And so, there's other letters that have come back about, I'm trying to remember who wrote the letter, but he was traveling around mostly in California. And he talks about that there's already cities. There were already cities there. And that 12, his words, 12 of the 13 tribes all had a presence there in those cities. So, and he talked about the Moors, he talked about the Berbers. Like, this place was not a deserted wasteland with occasional teepees like we've been sold, right? And so when you read those letters and you look at the drawings and you look at the things that they wrote, you start to find that out. There were towns and settlements here from the 1400s, European. The Druidic Welsh had been coming to this land since the year 900. And that's even very well talked about in archaeological digs. So, you know what I mean? Like, people were coming here. Pharaohs, Egyptian pharaohs were sending people here. They were trading with people here. Like, all those documents are elsewhere, but we're taught what we're taught. Now, the one thing that I wanted to say when I said Mer Akan is that Akan generally was used to denote somebody that was heavily melanated, African descent of some sort. So I'm trying to think of another example besides the one I'm thinking of, because then I got to talk about St. Patty's Day, but leprechauns. Anyway, 1903, Rockefeller, who is a member here and here and here, was named the first U.S. Head of the brand newly formed Department of Education. He was the one who said we need to have standardized education. Now, of course, he sells it to people as, we all need to hear the same things and learn the same things because, we don't want people to not learn stuff. But his quote about what he was going to do with standardized education was, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. And that has been standardized education ever since, right? Like, we have standardized education. We take standardized tests. Teachers teach to the test, right? We teach memorization, right? At how to remember things, how to, push the button, pull the lever. We teach listening to authority. We teach following rules. We don't teach thinking for yourself. So schooling before that had always been very philosophical, all the way back to ancient Greece and even farther back to ancient Kemet in Egypt. That education was more about thinking. It was thinking and talking. Like, you would go and talk to somebody who you thought knew more about something than you did. And then you had a conversation and you kicked things around and you tried to come up with some sort of truth or at the end of the day kind of statement. And we renamed that philosophy and we stopped teaching kids philosophy. Like, that's all kids do, right? Why? They ask why all the time, right? And they want to talk about stuff. But what about that? But what about this? And is that why this? Well, we were all taught in the American education system. And so, we teach to test, right? Get the piece of paper, get the high school diploma, move to the next grade, get your promotion at work. I mean, move to the 6th grade, become a supervisor. I mean, graduate from high school, right? Like, the whole thing is set up to produce workers. And then, that even plays into the school to prison pipeline, right? Because there's a certain number of people that the system is going to utilize their work regardless, right? Like, society participates you don't get to participate in society. It participates you, and it does not care what you think about it at all. Adrian says it was Benjamin Franklin. I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, when the money started coming in from the government. Okay. Yeah. So they kicked Black folks off of the native roles who were already there, right? When the money started coming in from the government. Right. The Moors came first, meaning before Christopher Columbus. Wait a minute. They asked for the route. Oh, yeah. The Moors had been here. Right. And that's why I utilize the term Aboriginal and Indigenous for things, not necessarily Native, right? Like, I guess I'm a Native American because I'm native to the Americas. You know what I mean? So I don't like that. Indigenous means like at the first migration out of Africa. So, at the dawn of humanity, when people started moving out of Africa and settled on different lands, those people would be considered indigenous or aboriginal. Okay. Because then they were there for tens of thousands of years. So, evolution-ish plays a part into that possibly they moved to these areas because of looking different or having different things. Do you guys know the story of Scotland? It's one of my favorite stories. And people in Scotland are very, very well aware of this. Oh, Ben Franklin was the one talking about the Native American cities. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. And in those letters, they were even talking about like aqueducts and, the big farms. And they even had like a sewage system, like cities, not log cabins or teepees, like especially in California. Right? This is where we get the word caliphate, Calithians, Khalifa, right? Like the natives that were there were the Khalifa, right? But they were all Americans. Okay. So the story of Scotland is, so let me start with something that is very factual, and then I will tell you the tale. Okay. Something that is very factual is that people who are Scottish have a high DNA ratio of Egyptian DNA. So that's a fact. And there have been studies on this and all that, because that's very, right? Just like people from Wales have a high DNA count from Sumeria. Okay. So the story of Scotland. The story of Scotland is that Scotland is named after Scotia, right? And there's actually groups in Scotland that are called the Daughters of Scotia, that are very proud of Scotland. So the tale is, that has been told down through history, which DNA has now kind of proven, is that Scotia, who was Nefertiti, so timeline-wise, this is Nefertiti's child. Nefertiti's child, Scotia, had vitiligo. And so she had, and light eyes. Okay. So being in the sun a lot, being out in the sand a lot, the lighter the eyes, the more you can't protect yourself from the sun, eyes wise, but also sand and things. I mean, everybody gets that in your eyes. That's not what I'm saying, but more susceptible to irritants and stuff like that. Right. And then, so vitiligo is having dark melanated, but having patches where melanin is sort of missing or lesser. And so the story goes that Scotia had vitiligo, and one of the things that Nefertiti did was to gift her that island, Scotland, right? It didn't have a name, right? It's just, Nefertiti owns everything, you know what I mean? And so when Scotia traveled to Scotland, it's a little more damp, it's a little colder, there's not as much direct sunlight, there's not a lot of sand, you know what I mean? And she really enjoyed vacationing in Scotland, and eventually she settled in Scotland and invited other people who had skin conditions to come and help settle Scotland. And so that's the tale of Scotland, that is named after Scotia. And people who are Scottish have a lot of Egyptian DNA. Okay, we're still talking about natives, yeah. Michael Jackson's great grandmother. Hi, Ellis Jackson. Thanks for being in here. So it's it's a favorite story that I like, because, as you know, shout out to Marcus who's on here. Race as an idea is a construct, right? We have phenotypes, right, based on our Aboriginal ancestry, right? It's not generally based on our, the the originators of humanity, right? Because that's Central Africa, that's the Congo area. But we have phenotypes based on our aboriginality, meaning where our ancestors, as they came out of Africa, where they settled, right? And so we generally have features like them. But even people in Scotland, freckles are exceedingly common, and red hair. And sometimes people with vitiligo will have red hair or red blotches of hair. So, Irish is very similar, freckles and red hair. Yeah. In Wales, it's a bit different because they come more from Sumeria, not from Egypt. So were you getting ready to say something, Marcus?
Yeah. Did you need me to drop down, or did you need me to stay here?
Well, I said you all could drop down, and you didn't. So I thought you were just going to hang out.
I thought you told them to drop down. I thought you needed me for something, but
Oh, that's so sweet. That's very sweet of you
Alright.
that you stayed all this time.
I thought, okay.
No, you are free to get on with your Sunday.
All right. I'm gonna
Thank
let you do your
you.
thing. All right.
Okay, so this is why why we utilize the othering, right? None of it is actually real, right? Race is just based on a phenotype, based on the environment from where your Aboriginal ancestors laid root. You know what I mean? And there's just all kinds of proof that humanity came out of Central Africa. As an example, and I'm going to try not to talk about whales too much, but the oldest remains that they have found in Wales, he's called Cheddar Man, so it's outside of Cheddar, but in that region, is somebody called Cheddar Man. And Cheddar Man is, one of the original Aboriginals, right? And so the Aboriginals that were in that area were called the Britannics, not the Britons. They were called the Britannics, and they were dark-skinned and had light blue eyes. Now, it's possible, again, this is what I say about evolution, I'm not sure. It's possible that they came into that region because, the family started developing light blue eyes, right? Like some recessive traits started to come out, and we need to get out of Sumeria, right? So we move, right? But those are and then the Anglos and Saxons took over the whole region and called themselves Britain and British, right? Just kind of like how we have Native Americans who are the Aboriginals or the indigenous, but we go around telling people we're American. It's that similar thing. Okay, so I keep trying to get into this part. It requires participation. Okay, the caste system requires participation of the masses. And again, the other thing to look at is there's a point at the top and there's a point at the bottom. Okay, so the least of these number the same as the most of these. Okay, and the reason we have to have people who are, I'm talking about the tip of the point, right, that are the most destitute, homeless, disregarded, thrown away, in prison, out of prison, completely just treated horribly, never had two pennies to rub together. We have to have them to keep the top, to keep this, right? And the balance is all the worker bees in the middle. So this is why I say things like, in the hive, all the bees are pointing at each other, talking about how different they are. And all the queen sees is a bunch of bees, and all she cares about is the honey. That's what I'm talking about. We're seeing more of an insurgent of people waking up to that this is the society that we live in, and none of it makes sense. It's all made up. It's all a made up game, right? It's all a made up game. Now, does that mean you can just be like, oh, I'm not playing the game? I mean, if enough of us did it, yeah. But realizing that it's all a game and that maybe this isn't the best way to have a society, because this caste system was taken on the road from Britain and to every colony it ever touched. And then those colonies, as they go and colonize other places, take, again, this very same caste system on the road there. So possibly the transcendentalists knew something by saying, that when societies get too big, they become inherently sick. So eventually we got to tip the scales to where a majority of people actually start lifting with their legs, lift from the bottom, instead of asking people. Like, you have people in the top part of the bottom caste that will fight for some right or something, and they'll ask everybody beneath them to come fight with them, because they're like, well, if I get the right, then you get the right, you know what I mean? And then as soon as they get what they wanted, they're just like, okay, now go back to your place. But the only way to take over the top of the caste system is to live with your legs, right? It's to collapse the bottom caste into one thing, right? The bottom caste. If everybody in the bottom caste could see that we are all in the bottom caste, we could collapse into one cohesive thing. And that's kind of what transcendentalism says. Everybody has to be free, and nobody is better than anybody else. You're free to make the decisions that you make and go do it. It's cool. All right. Hi, Ninja Person. Thanks for being here. Adrian says the points meaning that there is concentrated wealth and well as poverty, right? Like, if all the resources go to the top, right, to have the entire system the way it is, right? Like, we go and colonize an area and mine all the minerals and use all the people for working labor, and then all that money comes back to the US, right, to the upper elites. The only way for that to work is by having the destitution on the other end, right? You have to have the threat of destitution. You have to have the black sheep, right? That it's their fault for everything, that you can play people against, right? Because at least I'm not that person, to make them stay in the hamster wheel, right? You have to have the destitution because we have the tippy top of wealth, right? But transcendentalism is more like a brick. we're all here. Nobody gets to have all of everything. You don't get to, tear up the dirt so that Earth stops trying to give me food and, poison the groundwater and do all of that kind of stuff, right? Because Earth wants you here. This is the only planet we get, right? This is the only place we get to be. And Earth is constantly trying to give us stuff to eat and drink, and shelter and shade and trees and, all the stuff that we need to live. But other people are gatekeeping it and holding on to it to maintain this system. To maintain the system, they have to do that, which means the system causes homelessness and degradation, right? One of the things I will tell you guys, if you try to figure out this was what I did. If you try to figure out where in the caste system a certain group of people are, think about what they do when one of them has like severe mental illness or drug addiction. Okay. So like, you'll have people who they can send their drug addicted nephew to treatment because they have access to insurance. They know where the good treatment centers are. They've gotten referrals from other people. They have the ability to go visit them and support them. Or you will have people who the entire family wraps around that person. They address the person. They bring things into the home. They'll bring a treatment provider by, or everybody in the family just sort of rallies around and puts all their resources together. And as you get lower in the bottom caste, people have less resources, right? And so at some point, the government has to step in. Well, what does the government do with those lower castes of people when they have severe mental illness, drug addiction, things like that? It's like, sucks for you. Go live on the street, right? There are no resources for you. So it's like the least of these kind of theory where, think about the least of that group, when somebody's really struggling, do they have a chance? Is there a chance they could get better? Do they get to go to treatment? Now, in the upper echelon, somebody's drug addicted, they bring the hospital inside the house, right? A whole staff will be hired. It'll be kept out of the media. Nobody will ever know. Like, it is a complete, every resource imaginable will be given to that person. Period. End of story. Oh, Leon says this is pretty much what I wanted to send you an email about, Maggie. Yeah, but still send it. I mean, if you guys have information about this, Leon says this is the only reason I hate having a child. Without the child, I would be totally reckless. Okay, well then maybe it's a good thing. Yeah. Leon says they don't even want them to be chilling in wonderful LA weather. Hold on, poor mentally ill people. You have to pay for this outside weather. Yeah. Yeah. Like, would be so, as far as weather is concerned, like anywhere in California would be great, right? Because you don't have to worry too much about the weather. You know what I mean? You have salted water, that you can use to wash. You're gonna have to use some soap too, guys, but if you can. But they sell in rich boozy shops salt scrub. But the whole ocean's over here like, do you see me? I'm salted water. Removing oils and dirts since always. Right. So that was what I wanted to talk about today. I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you for the volunteers. Let me open that private chat. Dang it, Marcus, you still need to put your Cash App in here. So I can pay you, which I'm going to do while the live is still going so that you can make sure, everybody can make sure that they get it. I want to make sure. Okay, so this is Toya's. I should have just looked in my history for Toya's. There she is. Okay, let me know when you get it. And then Cynical Optimist. I said, are you sure you guys know each other? Okay, I think I remember Marcus's. Keep it 100. Okay, Cynical Optimist, you might have to like press something because it still has it as pending. But Marcus and Toya, y'all should have went through. Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Again, not trying to get you to change your personal philosophies, but just that's something that is a part of transcendentalism is something that's a part of American history that was eventually co-opted by the feminist movement and kind of killed off, and some other movements. But it's a philosophy. And since we don't study philosophy and we definitely don't study American philosophy, we don't know about it. But, it's something that could actually, if we revived it, it could actually shape America moving forward. Oh, thank you, Toya. Oh, thanks for watching, Mrs. KP Bailey. Okay, Leon's gonna send me the email. Okay, Toya got hers. Cynical got his. Marcus got his for sandwich money. Okay, awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody, for this Wednesday. I missed last Wednesday. I was out sick. I was having a hard time keeping my voice, too. So I knew I was not going to be able to get through Wednesday shadow work. But Wednesday shadow work coming up is whatever you say it is, it isn't. We're going to talk about the theory of semantics. So for people who like linguistics, they like language, they like that kind of thing. That's Korzybski. It's hard to say. Semantics. We're also going to talk about Gilles Deleuze. He's a fun French philosopher. He worked really closely with psychoanalysts, right? He talks about language as well, dialectics, those kind of things. He wrote pretty sure that's Deleuze. Yeah, he wrote a book called Capitalism and Schizophrenia, which is fun, right? So we'll talk about dialectics. We'll talk about more modern philosopher Alan Watts, who I have referenced before, but all of that to have some takeaways for our personal shadow work. I hope I see you guys Wednesday. If not, we'll see you next Sunday, which I will be getting scheduled quickly because I'm excited about that one, but I'm not sure what to title it yet. So have a good rest of your Sunday. I'll see you guys Wednesday. If I don't see you Wednesday, I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.